Hello students, welcome you all to a session regarding discussion on drawing part present in metal forming subject. In today's class, we will be discussing regarding what is drawing, what are the steps involved, elements of a drawing, then some redundant estimation and even the dead zone formation parts. So let us move step by step. So introduction. So if you go to the introduction of this one, you can say that a drawing is thing, but it is also a part of a metal forming process itself, where the workpiece is pulled through a die. So in the sketch, you can see that there is a die already. This is the die. So the workpiece is pulled through this die, and when it is being pulled through this die, you can see that the cross section area of the workpiece, it goes on reducing to the other part by the means of a pulling force. So generally it is done to reduce the cross section of the workpiece, and the shape depends upon the size, depends upon the shape of the die. So whatever the shape of the product you require, it depends upon the shape of the die. So here in the sketch you can see clearly that right now we are having a cylindrical shape itself of the product. So how this can be developed? Once the die which you are using, if it is of a cylindrical shape, then the desired product you get in the form of a cylindrical rod, wire, hollow tubes also. So generally this drawing process we are using for the production of wires for diameter around up to 2 micrometers, and for developing some rods or even some hollow tubes also. Other than this one, you can develop even the non-circular cross sections also, but the thing is, depending upon what you need the desired product, you have to develop the shape of the desired die, and through that die you can get the desired product also by using this drawing process. So in very simple words, what you can say that it is a metal forming process where the workpiece is pulled through the die. You can see this is the pulling force, which you can see right here. There, through this pulling force, the work material is being pulled through this die, and as this work material passes through this die, its cross section area, you can see from here it goes on reducing. The cross section area goes on reducing continuously as it passes through the die. So right now here we're getting a cylindrical shape of this desired product, depends upon the shape of the desired die per die also. So then the die cavity what we are preparing, you should be very careful to get the desired product. So the end portion of the workpiece, it plays a very important role, and it depends upon the cavity present inside the die itself. Generally when we carry the operation here, the workpiece initially it is thoroughly cleaned, prepared, cleaned, and it is washed with various chemicals, so that when it enters through the work surface, it helps for to hold the lubrication very necessary for this process. So you can see here when the work is passing through this die cavity, there is some friction force developed. So it is designed in such a fashion that it is initially prepared, cleaned, and then with various chemicals it is being to pass the surface where it can hold the lubrication necessary for the process. Then apart from this, the end portion of the work die, the end portion of the workpiece, it is reduced in its cross section so that it can freely enter. So initially what we do here is directly you cannot go for the pulling action here. So initially what we're doing is the raw materials end portion, it is being prepared and it is done in such a fashion that so initially, if you observe this part, when here it is being placed in this die cavity, it is being prepared in such a fashion that its cross section is reduced initially, and then that reduced cross section it is made freely to enter into this die cavity. So here, if you observe here, this is the die cavity. So initially, the end portion of the workpiece, it is reduced to its cross section and it is forced to enter into this die cavity, and after that once the workpiece passes through this die cavity, then from here we are applying the pulling force to this work material, so that the entire workpiece cross section goes on reducing and we get the desired product. So for this pulling, we are applying some mechanical gripped devices we are using. It may be in the form of an bench equipment, or it may be a draw block equipment also, which are responsible for drawing this material in the form of wires, rods, or hollow tubes. So generally the metal, when it is being developed here, you can say that it undergoes the plastic deformation by the action of some reaction forces through this die also. If you observe at this point here, when the workpiece metal comes with the die surfaces, here you can see even there are some reaction forces developed here at these points at the surfaces. So due to this, there is a plastic deformation occurring, which is responsible for the deformation of the workpiece to increase its length, that is the ductility is improved, and we get the desired product. So this is the basic phenomena of how a drawing is carried out for a metal forming process. Now the next important thing is to draw these kinds of wires, rods and tubes, we need some equipments. Which are they? Let us see them. So initially, many times we are using this equipment, we call it as a bull block equipment. So generally this bull block equipment which we are using here, we are using for drawing of the rods or wires of very long length. So you can see here, there is some raw material stock which is in the coil form. It is passed through a die. This is the die cavity, and through this the metal is being passed through this die cavity here, and this it is being coiled and wrapped in the form of some wires or tubes coiled around this coil, that is the draw block. So generally we are using this equipment where the operation is very much continuous operation and the floor space required is very less. So using this operation, what we can do is we can reduce the floor space and we can go on coiling the material around this draw block. So generally the bull block equipment which is used here, it mainly consists of a wire drawing die. This is a wire drawing die. Then it is made up of this wire drawing die. It is made up of tungsten carbide material. So this wire drawing die which you are observing here, it is made up of tungsten carbide material, this one. Then there is a rotating draw block. This is the rotating draw block, which provides a continuous pull for the incoming wire. And there is the raw material stock which is present in the coil form, that is placed at this point. So once the process begins, initially, as I told you, first the end portion of the material is being prepared, cleared, and it is passed through the die cavity to reduce its cross section. And once it is introduced, then the pulling force is being applied continuously to pull the raw material into the form of wire, such that by squeezing action, it is nothing but when you squeeze your toothpaste, you can see it is the toothpaste is coming in the form of cylindrical structure. Same here also, when we are pulling here, the raw material is being squeezed and it comes in the form of some wire structure or in the form of the rods also. So generally we are applying this process for developing the wires, so that the infinite length of the wire, it can be coiled around this drawing block. So as the wire passes through the die, its diameter, if you see here, from here to here, its diameter goes on reducing. It goes on reducing such that the exit wire, then it is pulled by the draw block, which winds itself to the block, and the manufacturing takes place using this bull block equipment. Similarly, we have another equipment also known as draw bench equipment, which is that, let us see here. So this is the draw bench equipment. So this equipment we are generally using when we are having a single die, and the important thing is when the diameter is greater than 20 mm of the raw material. So the diameter of the raw material which you want to pull here, if its diameter is greater than 20 mm, then we go for the usage of this one. That is, we call it as this draw bench. So if this diameter is greater than 20 mm, then we go for this one. So here also, if you observe here also the pulling force is applied, but the thing is, it is done with the help of a pair of jaws which are attached to a chain drive, which means the force required is very, very high when compared to the previous equipment, that is the bull block. So here the initial raw material, it is passed and it is cross section is being reduced by the same cutting or squeezing phenomena, and then it is fed through this dies. Once this material comes and it is gripped by the means of this jaws, then this chain drive, it continuously moves on to pull this material and you get the desired shape of the product. Generally we are using this one when we need to have a force developed around 1 meganewtons. So generally the drawing speed attained on this draw bench, it is around 5 meters per minute to 50 meters per minute. So this is the main advantage of using this draw bench. Now the next we need to understand is generally what are the elements of a drawing die. Let us see them in detail. So basically any drawing die you take, it is having these are 4 basic elements. The first element comes is the bell portion, that is from here A to B. This is the bell portion. Then comes the working surface. It is from B to C, this portion, working surface B to C. Then the third portion which comes is nothing but it is the land or bearing region, that is from C to D here. And the last one which we are seeing from D to E is, it is the back relief, or we call it as the back relief portion also. It is nothing but from D to E here. This is that part, D to E according to this sketch. So generally these are the 4 basic elements of a drawing die. The first portion is the bell portion, that is the space from A to B. Then comes the working surface portion B to C. Then comes the land bearing region portion C to D. And the last comes the back relief portion D to E. So let us see what happens in each of these portions in detail. So initially whatever the portion I was discussing you, that was the bell portion. It is nothing but the entrance of a die itself. So in very, very simple words, what you can say that the entrance of a die, is known as bell portion. This is the entrance of a die is known as bell portion. So, and its shape, it is designed in such a fashion that once the workpiece enters through this die, it will draw the lubricant along with it. So you can see here the space. You can see here the space which is there here. So when the work material, as it passes through this die, along with this work material, it draws along with it the lubricant also, so that the friction forces can be reduced to some greater extent. And the shape of the bell, when it is designed, it is having some hydrostatic pressure developed, and it is so much high that this hydrostatic pressure increases, and it is responsible for promoting to flow the lubricant with it. So the design of this bell portion is designed in such a fashion that it draws the lubricant along with it, and this causes to increase the hydrostatic pressure, which makes the lubricant to flow through the die itself. This is regarding the first one, that is the bell portion. Next comes the working surface, that is portion from B to C, that is this part, B to C. So now here, if you see here from B to C, the cross section area goes on decreasing, or you can say that it is nothing but a tapered portion itself. And it is in this surface, you can see carefully that there are some reaction forces developed by this die also. So along with the compressive forces are developed more, especially in this region. Hence we call this as the working surface. So this is the surface where the plastic deformation happens, which is responsible for reducing the cross-section area of the work metal. So the half die angle, that is the alpha, which is designated here. You can see here the half die angle alpha, which is designated here. It is very much important factor which is deciding regarding this drawing process. So always you should know how much angle is responsible for, how much angle is calculated correctly to carry out this drawing process. And even this diangle alpha, it is also known by another one name known as approach angle. It is also known by the name known as approach angle. So in very, very simple words, it is especially in this region itself where the compressive forces are applied on the work material, which is reduced to its cross section, and it flows outside passing through the portion CD and DE also. This is regarding working surface BC. Similarly, now third one, that is the land, or it is also known as bearing region, that is from C to D, that is this particular surface, that is from C to D here. This is the working surface C to D, this is space. So if you observe this space from C to D, whatever the work material enters from C to D, its cross section area, it doesn't change, which means from C to D there is uniform cross section first of all. And second important thing is, if you come from point B to D, you can see that from C to D, from B to C, when you compare C to D, it is the smallest cross section area in this particular process. So you can say that the land region is nothing but a die where it is having a smallest cross section area. The bearing region which is present here it does not cause any more further reduction material. So from this zone itself, there is no further reduction in the cross section area of the work material, that is the land region. But there is some frictional drag developed on the work material, but it develops some frictional drag. This is regarding the land or the bearing region. Now the next fourth one, that is the back relief or portion DE. So if you observe carefully in the sketch, there is some back portion developed here, that is at this part from D to E, this surface. So what is this back portion? So if you observe carefully, this back portion is nothing but it allows the metal to expand slightly. So if you don't provide this gap, here, then the metal will not expand very freely. The surface finish will be destroyed. So to get some good surface finish, we have to provide some gap in such a fashion that there is some back relief developed, so that when the work metal is leaving the die, it expands slightly. So this minimizes the possibility of the formation of abrasion on the surface, which means the drawing process is continuous and we get a good surface finish and a good quality product. These are the four essential regions or zones of a drawing. So these are the elements of a drawing part. Now moving on to next. Redundant work in drawing. So generally I told you that when we are conducting a drawing process, there are the important thing is we should go for the designing of a die angle, then the portion of the work material entering through the die surface, that is the bell portion, then comes the working zone, land zone, and the relief zone also. So here, apart from this, there are some chances that if you observe in the three sketches here, the work material, there is the workflow lines, they are uniform in the first figure. Then if you see at the die where the workpiece metal comes into contact, the workflow lines have been staggered, they have been curved shaped structures, and here you can see they have been bent to some angles. So what is all this one? Let us discuss one by one. So in very simple words, what we can say that when a work is being developed, there is a drawing operation, it is categorized into three components. The first component which is there is homogeneous work, which you can see in this particular sketch. What is this homogeneous work? So homogeneous work is a work which is reduce the cross section of the workpiece uniformly. So you can see here the material flow lines, they have not been destroyed, but still it has been carried uniformly. We call it as homogeneous work. Then there is due to some frictional resistance. So you can see due to frictional resistance developed between the die surface and the workpiece. You can see here the material flow lines, they have been misplaced to some distances. So this happens due to some frictional resistance. And the third important point which we want to discuss here is it is an inhomogeneous work, or it is also known as redundant, or this is the case C. So this is a redundant work, or it is a inhomogeneous work, and it is developed when the flow direction is not uniform. So in very simple words, what you can say that the redundant work is the work developed due to the causing of internal distortion of the work, and it is developed because of the more excess in the case. So if we discuss all these cases one by one, so we can say that homogeneous work, initially the figure A, it is determined by the reduction process, and when this is a homogeneous work is developed, it means that it is very much independent of the die angle, which is independent of the die angle. So the homogeneous work, it is produced only when it is independent of the die angle. But the friction redundant work, which you can see in the second case and the third case, they are dependent on the die angle, and apart from that, they are having some of the things which means they are closely related to the die geometry, and there is some opposite effect also. So during normal conditions, what you can say that there are some losses which are in the order of around some losses are around 20% for the frictional work case, and around 12% for this one, that is the redundant work case also. So redundant work and frictional work, what they are having is they are developing some adverse effects, and these adverse effects on the wire properties are in addition to increase the energy. So if you are having redundant work, which means the energy required for drawing increases, so you should take care that this happens, then the ductility becomes inversely proportional related to the strain. Therefore, when the redundant work acts, there are the number of passes and maximum reduction, they are responsible for going for the annealing process role. The redundant work plays a very vital role. So now, once this redundant work is developed, we say that there are some losses. So how we can estimate the redundant work using some graphical procedure? We can estimate the redundant work developed also, and this redundant work, it is very much sufficient to understand how much it is required and how it can be estimated graphically. Let us see in the next slide. So this is the redundant work. So if you see here, basically there is a graph which is drawn regarding stress versus strain, and you can see there is a basically a curve developed, that is a basic flow curve, and this basic flow curve, it is developed under annealing process. This is the basically developed curve, and the same flow curve, it is developed for a drawn wire, which you can see it is acting at this particular stage, that is at this particular curve. This is the flow curve for a drawn wire. So what happens to redundant work, and what is its effect on this one? Let us study in detail. So if you observe carefully the graph, the flow curve for a drawn wire, you can see there is a flow curve for this drawn wire. It is crossing the flow basic flow curve, that is it is superimposing this basic flow curve of a same annealed material itself. So why this happens? So this is nothing but it is respected to the strains ratios itself, how it is discussed. So when the redundant work is due to redundant work, the yield stress of the drawn metal, which you are seeing here, the yield stress of the drawn metal, it is above which one? The basic flow curve. This is the yield stress of the drawn material. It is above the basic flow curve. So if you want to determine the redundant work, that is which is represented by the symbol pi, the redundant work factor which is represented by, if you want to determine this one, you should know that the flow curve for the drawn metal, it gets shifted to some, so if you observe here carefully, it is shifting to some particular length. You can see here, from here it has been shifted to some particular distance. So initially it was the strain of the drawn wire, then increased strain is epsilon dash due to the shifting of the flow curve. It happens here. So once the flow curve for the drawn metal is shifted to the right, then it coincides, where it coincides this one, again it is coinciding with the basic flow curve. So if you observe carefully here, at this particular point which is being shifted, here it is again coinciding with the basic flow curve, here it is again coinciding the basic flow curve. So therefore the redundant work, generally we are determining using this factor known as pi. Pi is equal to epsilon dash divided by epsilon. This is the case. So if you have any more doubts, you can send me the comments to the YouTube so that I can help you for further understanding of this particular topic.